They're saying, wait a minute, okay, so you're making all these weird incestuous deals with all these companies, and like where Nvidia takes an ownership stake of OpenAI, they give them a bunch of money, and then OpenAI is required to take that money and use that to buy Nvidia chips. And people are like, so Nvidia, so OpenAI doesn't have the money. You gave them the money. So imagine that. Imagine you're selling birthday cakes and somebody says, I'd like your cake, but I can't afford $10 for a cake. So you loan them $10 and they take the $10 and use it to buy your cake. That's good. That people kind of look at that a little bit weird, like, okay, and so your friend says, hey, I can afford cake. I buy cakes all the time. You can't really afford cake because they had to give you the money to buy cake from them. And so you really didn't sell a cake and you really didn't buy a cake. Y'all just decided to sort of play with each other's play with each other's bank accounts a little bit, and whatever, and tickle each other, and make something happen that really didn't happen. So people are questioning OpenAI for these weird financial relationships. They're also wondering how a company that made $13 billion that's going to lose $80 billion this year, $79 billion. They're going to have losses of approximately $79 billion this year. How is that company going to really fulfill $1.4 trillion worth of financial commitments that are on the books that are being used to value other companies? So other companies are saying, "Hey, OpenAI is going to give us 200 billion," and but then people are like, "Well, wait, OpenAI does not have 200 billion. How is this going to work?" So what they really believe, which is to some extent true, is that there's this massive, overwhelming demand for AI, a demand for compute, a demand for the chips. All these things are true, but how true is it, and are these companies appropriately valued? So a lot of the OpenAI, Oracle, CoreWeave, these are companies that are just getting slammed because they're like, you're not real, you're pretending. Whereas Microsoft, Amazon, Google, very solid. If you want, and in fact, that could be like the first. It's not a recommendation. I don't give investing advice ever. But if you want to know where I've been putting Mrs. Alicia's money and my money, it's Microsoft, Amazon, Google. These are companies that are not going to go away anytime soon. They're going to be fine. Okay. And right now, that's what you're having in this sector rotation, is what they call a flight to quality. People are like, okay, we've lived on the edge, we had some fun, it was real, but let me get the hell up out of here before before the cops get here, right? And if you notice some of the stocks that we've been messing around with, if you remember, we were talking about Oklo when it was $8 or $9. It went up as high as 170. And if you remember, what I kept saying to you was, I said, I don't know if this is gonna how long this is gonna last. I'm gonna enjoy it. I made tens of thousands of dollars from that stock. But if you remember, if you know options, what was I doing? We were selling deep. Not we, I was, and I was just telling you, I was selling these deep out of the money call options because I said, I believe, or I'm shocked that Oklo made it to $120, but I'm stunned that you will be willing to buy a call option that only can be exercised if it hits $200 a share. I don't think it's going to hit $200 because this company ain't made no money, right? So now you've seen Oklo. Oklo's getting slammed. Remember, I was telling you, Oklo is one of those companies that's going to get brought down to earth. It doesn't mean they're not good. It doesn't mean that they won't eventually do well. It just means that the market's having what you call a correction. What some people call a crash is really a correction. A correction just says, okay, we got a little crazy. All right, okay, okay. We thought there was a $200 stock, but really it's a nice solid $110 company. So what you'll find in the middle of all the trash is you might find some companies that are really, really, really good bargains. The hard part is that if you're over leveraged, this is where my good buddy 19 Keys, he's a great smart guy.